You've been planning your vacation for weeks, and you're so excited because it's finally time to pack and head to the airport to catch your flight. But once you arrive, the unthinkable happens. Your flight gets canceled. Fortunately, flights don't get canceled all the time, but when they do, you need to know your options. My name is Chris Bludorn, and I'd like to welcome you to Gypsy Express Travel, where I share tips to help people have better travel experiences. Today, I will share 6 tips on how to handle a canceled flight. And tip number 5 just might surprise you because most people aren't even aware they have this option. At least I didn't know until I became a travel agent. Before we get into it, if you find value in this video, please like and subscribe to my channel as I post travel tips every week. Tip number 1 is to check your flight before you leave for the airport. It's never pleasant to find out your flight's been canceled, but it's better to find out from the comfort of your home or your hotel room. Most of these notifications are not happening last minute, so save yourself a drive to the airport and check the status of your flight before you leave, especially if the weather is bad or you're in the middle of a pandemic. One of the easiest ways to check the status of your flight is to put your airline and flight number directly into a Google search bar. This is also good for friends or family who are on standby to pick you up. But of course, you can also sign up for free text alerts when you purchase your ticket or check your carrier's app. As we all know, sometimes cancellations happen after you're at the airport. The last time my flight was canceled, it was posted online before it was even announced at the gate. So, let's talk about what to do once you've found out the bad news. Tip number 2 is to act quickly. Once you learn your flight has been canceled, get in line to talk with the desk agent and start multitasking. First, try to find another flight. You can use sites like Google Flights or Skyscanner to research all airline schedules, including alternate airport options depending upon your location. I'll drop a link for these websites in the description so you can check them out. Typically, when a flight is canceled, the majority of airlines will rebook you on the next flight available to your destination with no change fees or additional charges. However, depending upon why your flight was canceled, finding seats on a new flight may be difficult and your arrival time will probably be severely delayed. You should also try to contact the airline's customer service department on your phone. Calls to US numbers might have a long hold time, so you may want to try an international call center for your carrier instead. After all, most people won't think to call the Canadian helpline. They can handle your reservation just the same. And if you're traveling with someone, split the duties because timing is going to be everything. Tip number 3 is to mind your manners. Whether you're talking with someone in person or over the phone, always be polite. Remember, you're dealing with employees and they're not the reason your flight was canceled, but they are the ones who have the most ability to help you. And as my grandmother used to say, you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And now that it's your turn to speak with an agent about making new arrangements, it's going to be very helpful if you've already done the research and you're just presenting the options you found. Now, if you're thinking, that's their job, you're absolutely right. But think of it this way. Getting to your destination is not going to be as important to anyone else as it is to you. So do some research instead of leaving your trip completely in someone else's hands. So let's just say you found a flight, but you can't fly until the next day, and you're not in your home city. Now what are you going to do? That brings me to tip number 4, which is to ask the airline to put you up in a hotel or ask for a hotel voucher. It's not required by law, but you won't know if you don't ask. I can tell you they are less likely to do it if the cancellation was weather related, and every airline has its own rules about this one. But if a hotel is allowed, it's highly unlikely that you'll be offered one, so you need to ask. My mother has told me my entire life, nothing beats a failure but a try. So just ask. You may be pleasantly surprised by the answer you receive. You can also check your credit card company to see if you have any type of passenger protection in case you're stranded. If so, find out what you need to do to get reimbursed. And if you just can't get another flight, you do not have to accept a travel voucher, which is tip number 5, and that is to know your rights. According to the Department of Transportation, if the airline cancels a flight, regardless of the reason, and you choose not to travel, you are entitled to a refund. Now, they are not violating your rights by offering you a voucher, but you have no legal obligation to accept it either. If you would rather have a refund, they must give you one. Like I said before, be sure to mind your manners. There's no reason to be rude, but instead be persistent and just make the person aware that you know your rights. You could simply say, listen, according to the Department of Transportation, I'm entitled to a refund, and I'd just like to know why you're not honoring that. Then be quiet and wait for their response. I'll put a link in the description to the Department of Transportation so you can read it for yourself. Some of the other things to consider about canceled flights, which I guess we'll call miscellaneous for tip number 6, is that if you booked your trip through a travel agent, then give your agent a call because they'll have resources to assist you. If you book through Expedia or another third-party site, you'll have to deal with them when there's a cancellation. So as a side note, it's always a good idea to check the price directly through the airline. And if it's the same as a third-party site, then book through the airline, because if there's a cancellation, it will be a lot easier to handle than trying to get help through a site like Expedia. And you also want to check with your travel insurance to see if you're covered for costs you incur because of the cancellation. This includes everything from meals to accommodations and transportation. As you remember, we talked about the importance of travel insurance in this video, How to Travel on a Budget. If you haven't seen that video yet, go watch it now. Until next week, stay safe and remember, travel is life.